So I'm with Steve, Coull. Well, thanks for joining me. This is the first time I interview somebody, so
not a problem.
Bear with me. So I'd like to call this little segment New Blood.
Okay.
Because I think you're pretty new to rallycross in Quebec. Is that right?
Yeah, I started last year, my first year, yeah.
And did you start with that nice black STI that we see racing in rallycross?
Yes, I did, buddy.
All right. So tell me a little bit of how you got into rallycross last year. Why?
Well, it's been a long time that I've been wanting to race rally, but of course my job doesn't always allow me to, because I used to be a full-time welder, and I do shutdowns and stuff like that. So I'm working 7 days a week, so it's kind of hard to have time. And actually, I grew up in Richmond. Yeah. The place of rally, Sure. So the Rally Bidé Chaleur was my thing, every year, and I'd always go and see it with my friends and everything. We'd get drunk and just have a blast, So, and of course, you see those nice cars flying by with all the backfires and everything going out of there, and you're just like, I want to do this,
For sure. Now, was this in your blood? Was this in your blood before you saw rallying? Like, did you grow up on machines?
No, actually, this is funny, actually, because I was actually a bicycle guy. I've always have been. I used to own a bike shop in Montreal for like 7 or 8 years. I used to be a professional trials pro, doing shows for all over Canada and everything. I actually did a show for Cirque du Soleil and everything. Wow. And I was really big in that industry. But I never had my driver's license until 25 years old.
That's unbelievable.
That's crazy, Yeah. And then, later on, while I, eventually closed down the shop and all that, and went back home to New Richmond, and when I was there, well, I kind of, got back in with my friends and everything, and I was like, hey, man, because I know Michel Bois and, François Loubert and all them, so, it's a crazy gang,
Yeah, those are some aggressive drivers.
Yeah. So basically, where it really started was with Michel Bois, actually, because I helped him to build his new car, because he had scrapped his car, and he was rebuilding a 2.5 RS, but with an STI swap into it. And there was a lot of modifications I had to do and everything on frames and everything, a whole bunch. I welded up a whole shitload of stuff on that car. I made him some custom skid plates, everything. The wheel wells and the les tables de roue in the front there, the control arms, I had to modify the control arms and cut them because they were too wide, they didn't fit. A whole bunch of stuff I had to make fit, But we got her done. The car was awesome, and he won the rally actually that year in his category in the regionals. Nice. So that. Right, and actually, I was actually the part of the crew in the rally pits with him that year, and I brought my trailer and everything, all my tools and equipment and everything I had, and we had a blast, and that really gave me the taste for it. I was like, oh my god, I really want to do this. Like I want to be the guy in the driver's seat, because I know, like, I've always been the type of guy that around with his car, and just has fun and everything like that, like most of the people back home there.
Yeah.
And eventually, and I bought actually just before I started that project with Michelle, I bought myself a nice Subaru WRX 2004 that was already stage 2 and souped up with a big ass muffler and loud and everything. The car I wanted. I was like, if I'm gonna buy one, I'll buy something that I want.
Yeah.
So it started like that, and then it was Camp Brûlé, and I lived in Saint-Edgar, so every day I'd go I'd go to work, I'd pass by Camp Brûlé, of course, I had to. It's stronger than me. I just had to drift the out of the car, and just beat the hell out of it, just having fun.
Well, that's how you learn, as long as you're safe about it, that's how you learn.
Yeah.
And you learn in rally crosses as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So wintertime, summertime, no matter what, I was in the Camp Brûlé just beating the hell out of the car,
Awesome.
And a lot of repairs, a lot of this and that, but never crashed it actually. I brought a few friends and everything, and everybody always told me, like, you should try and race rally. I was like, man, I ain't good enough, no, seriously, like you should try it. You're pretty good. Like, no, come on there, you know. And then eventually I went with a drive with Fern. And Fern, Francois Loubert, well, he was actually, like, he's one of the craziest guys and one of the craziest drivers I've ever known in my entire life.
He's point and shoot, we'll just manage the consequences later type driver, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He is good, though. He's really good. If he would have a nice car, and if he would invest a bit more into his car and everything, he could go far in that, you know. But now he has a kid and everything, so he doesn't want to take that chance, you know. So he just does it for fun, and you know, it's understandable. I'd do the same thing, but I got no kids, so you know. Anyway, so I took Fern out for a drive in my WRX. And he was actually really surprised of how well I could handle that car and how fast I drove it, you know. And so he's the one that actually told me, he's like, Steve, seriously, you should really try Rally X, you know, or Rally Sprints or something. I was like, do you think? He's like, yeah, man, like you definitely, buddy. Like, yeah, you know, of course we're talking French there, but you know. And so my first project was actually supposed to be the WRX, and I was starting to build it a little bit for the rally, but then eventually I blew the motor out in Abitibi when I went to work and everything. Was having fun, you know, being a dumbass.
Over revving it.
So I had to get the, you know, I also have a Dodge Durango, an 01 old school truck. So I crossed all Quebec to go and get my goddamn WRX that was sitting out in Abitibi from Gaspésie, and so I did a long drive to go and get that thing.
That's like 16 hours.
Oh yeah. And so I put the damn thing on the trailer, brought it back home, and it sat there, and I was like, you know what? And then my life kind of changed in that time. I had a really, how could I say it? One of the worst girlfriends I've ever had in my life, you know, ruined my life. So, you know, I think we've all been there a little bit. And so I decided to move. And I moved out to Quebec City, and actually everything started from there because I started doing a lot of work, so I made more money, you know. Yeah. And then eventually I was like, it just so happened one day I was at work, driving to go make a delivery actually for the company, which was the first time I'd ever done that because I was always welding like a madman. And so they wanted me to go do a delivery. So I went there, and sure enough, I came up to a light, just out of the blue like that, sitting there in my truck, you know. And so I turned my head, and I see this beautiful black STI sitting there looking at me, right on the corner of a used car lot. I'm like, oh my God, that thing is so beautiful. And so, anyway, drool came out and everything, the whole works, you know, and so I kept on going. I had to go do my delivery, and it turned out it was maybe like 5-10 minutes farther where that car lot was. And I get there, and the shop is closed for lunch, so I'm like, ooh, I'm going to see that car.
Yeah, exactly. Where are the keys?
Turn around. Yeah, so I turn around and go with the company truck and floor it, pedal to the metal, go and see that STI and go in the parking lot, and the salesman comes up and he's like, hey man, you seem to like that car and all. I was like, dude, I don't like it, I love it. He's like, well, do you want to do a test drive?
Bad idea for him.
Is that even a question? Like, as if I don't want to do it, you know? So for sure enough, I went and took a drive with that thing and fell in love right away and bought it right away.
Nice.
Yeah, and then from there.
The first time, I just want to pause you here. The first time I saw that car was in January of this year.
Okay.
I was driving up to the rallycross, the Casdy rallycross, with my truck and my trailer, and it's what, 5-6 in the morning? I don't know what time. Yeah,
it was dark out and everything. Yeah.
And there's this car behind me. I'm like, oh, that's probably a Subaru going to the rallycross or something. And then when you hauled out to pass me and you just threw flames at me in the night, you know, in the early morning, I was just like, yeah, that guy's got something. I could tell in the way that you changed lanes. That guy's maybe competing, or he's pretty good at the wheel. So that's the first time. That's my segment. The first time I met you, you were throwing flames at me.
And I remember when we got there too, yeah, right away you knew it's like, hey, you're the guy that passed me. I was like, yeah, and then he's like, and you're like, oh, those backfires are nice. That gave me motivation for the day or something like that, you know?
Exactly.
I always remember that. And I was like, really? It shot out flames. He's like, yeah.
Yeah,
And that didn't happen very often, you know, because I don't get to see that, you know.
Exactly.
So,
Well, it was beautiful from where I was sitting.
yeah, and that race, it was one of actually, in all my races I've done, that was my worst race because I didn't have proper tires. And like I had mentioned to you actually that day, I had actually called ahead in advance to see like what the track conditions were, and the guys told me there was no ice and I didn't need the studs. So when I got there and the whole track everywhere was nothing but pure ice, I was freaking out.
So did you have 18s on the car?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So
Stock wheel.
low profile, 18-inch wheels. Amazing.
Worn out because
tires.
they were.
Wow, so those tires were already abused.
Oh yeah, and I drifted the hell out of them all winter and everything.
What position did you finish on that rally?
I actually finished 7th out of, I think we were like 20 some or something like that there.
Well, that's good. That's good for your setup. Like you had a terrible setup.
Yeah, I know.
7th is awesome. 7th is awesome. Yeah.
It wasn't too bad, but for me that was actually my worst race to date there. But yeah, I was kind of hoping to get a podium again there, but it wasn't happening. No matter what I did, I actually almost scrapped my door because I came into a turn, and that was my mistake actually, because my co-pilot called me a left turn after the container, and I kind of understood before the container, so I started turning because it was a right turn and then I had to turn left. So as I was coming out of that right turn, I was starting to set up to turn before the container. And then my co-pilot's like, no, you know. So then I corrected, and as I corrected, the car lost traction, and I started sliding towards that container. And man, dude, my heart stopped literally because I knew for a fact that it was hidden, and so I just kind of held onto the wheel because no matter if I hit the brakes or hit the gas,
you're right sideways.
That was just nothing did nothing, you know.
So you wait.
Tires on ice, you know. So I waited, and there was like 2 feet of snow before that darn container, and it came up and just stopped there. Dude, I looked at my co-pilot, like, what? And hit that thing in first, man. Get the f out of there, you know. Yeah, but that was the biggest scare I've had up to now in Raleigh there. Yeah. Yep.
So, do you think you'll be there at the Rallycross Bidishara this year?
Oh yeah, I have to do, absolutely. I cannot miss a race. I'm totally. How do you say there? I'm totally hooked.
Awesome.
I cannot not do a race.
So the next one should be soon at San Air.
Yes,
and then
I can't wait
maybe
for that.
the 6th of September out in the Gaspé on gravel.
San Air was my actually worst race last year because I did a lot of mistakes on that one. Yeah, because I had never been in a track with cones all over the place.
Right. It's confusing.
My mindset, I was thinking track, you know, not a track in a track with a million cones in it, you know?
Right.
So I'd never done that. And I didn't do the day before. There was a training day, and I didn't do that because I didn't think I actually needed it, which I should have done. So, but yeah, that was my worst race, tell you the truth. Yeah, I remember that one.
I remember one corner I came around and the cones were like so far away that we didn't know where to go, and I didn't take proper notes, and I just stopped the car and I'm like, where am I going? So
me too.
If you don't have perfect notes at Rallycross San Air, you can get confused in a hurry. It's crazy.
Yep.
So I also want to touch on the fact that at an early age, I guess you were riding, you're doing like trial mountain biking. And
yes, I did.
That gives you a lot of sensitivity, sensitivity, either one. To be able to gauge balance, be very precise on your movements and everything. So that, of course, that'll transmit into cars later on, like happened to you. I mean, everything adds up, right? When you train.
Yep. The least little thing does. Yeah, everything helps.
So people have got to realize if they want to get into auto racing that they should probably like ski, motocross, do whatever they can to try to get a feel for machines underneath them.
Yep. Actually, I tell you the truth, one of the things that helped me the most, I find personally, is downhill racing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The reason is,
You're always looking for traction, right?
well, no, because you're always looking forward for the line.
Okay.
So you're always visualizing the line in front of you to go like in between the obstacles, the rocks and roots and all that. And you're never looking right in front of you, so you're always looking really far ahead so that your brain has time to register everything and you have time to react to it, you know?
Right.
And I transferred that to rally, and it helped me a lot.
It must help you a lot for when the co-driver's calling, you see the road draw out in front of you.
Yeah, yeah, because as soon as he calls me either left or right, no matter what level 1 to 6 there, it doesn't matter, because as soon as I know it's a left, I'm sticking to the right side as much as I can to get my apex, you know?
Exactly. Well, that's awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to racing with you and not against you, because I'm not in the same class. So
yeah, that's true. You're two-wheel drive. Yeah.
Two-wheel drive. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the track. You're easy to talk to. You're fun, and I think we need that, the camaraderie in rallycross. They say rally's like a big family, so the more different people know each other, and I might be whipping out the camera a little more often. So I need people who are comfortable with the camera. Yeah.
Yeah, me, what I'm probably going to do is, well, I actually did a couple GoPro races last year, and I think I'm going to do it every race now, because there's a lot of times that, you know, and there's stuff that you should have on camera, you know, you can't make that up. You can't buy it. It's pure, you know, it's pure original stuff there, you know,
Exactly. And it's good for awareness too. It's good to show people what's going on, and it's such an underground sport. Nobody knows about it. So we'll get there.
Not just for other people, for you, for yourself also, because then when you watch it after, then you realize the little mistakes that you made here and there, you know, and then you can correct it later.
I always look at the video after and I'm like, wow, I was so conservative there.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like that in the car, but you look at the line, you're like, wow, I left a foot on the side of the road, you know?
Yeah. And that little foot will make the difference, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So I gotta pick up my balls, I think, and go a little bit harder next time.
Well, I guess people have been always telling me that I have massive balls, so you know, I guess that did translate into rallies. Since my first year, I actually won the 3rd place in the championship, so I guess I'm doing pretty good, you know.
It reminds me at the last rallycross in the snow, I was talking with what's his name? It slipped me. With the BMW.
Oh yes, him. Oh my God, that guy.
I love
dude.
That guy. No, he's great.
Yeah, he's funny. Yeah, I love him too. I didn't get the chance to talk to him that much, but.
Oh yeah. Anyway, I mentioned to him. I said, Gabriel Casey. So.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
So I said to him, I said, it's pretty awesome to see such a nice recent car like being beaten like crazy through a rallycross, and I'm like, the guy is not scared to damage it. So what Gabriel replied to me, he says, that guy is just not scared. So he was talking about you, and then it all kind of clicked. I'm like, well, yeah, that's what makes it basically. You don't want to crash, but at the same time, you're just not scared. Like whatever happens, and just go at it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you push like to 80%, or you're holding back, or you go all in.
I am holding it back a little bit, because what does worry me is the fact that I invested so much money into that car, and that when we do our rallies, we have no insurance. So if we scrap the car, we just lost everything. You know?
Yeah.
So it's a chance to take, and actually, out of everybody, I'm pretty sure that's something that people probably talk about too, is the fact that I always get to the race, no trailer, no crew, no tools, no nothing. I get there in my car and I fucking leave in my car.
Exactly.
You know?
We used to do that, like, I'm talking 9 years ago when we started rallycrossing, and then we had stopped for a while, but it was my daily driver. Like, I drove up to...
Yeah, well, mine, same here.
And people were like, okay, that's good job, put it on the trailer now. And I'm like, I don't have a trailer. I'm driving back in this thing.
Same here, man. So I put all my money in the damn car. I don't have anything left to buy a trailer. I gotta win more races or something.
Yeah, right. You gotta
Get
work
some
more.
budget going here.
Yeah.
Try and get a sponsor or something one day, for that or whatever.
Oh,
But actually, this year I'm so happy, and that's one thing I would really like to thank Ace Performance for all the work they've done on my car, which has been great. And also, I definitely want to thank a lot Pneu Fauché from Deschambault, because without them this year, I probably would not have been able to race, because at the beginning of the year, I had a lot of repairs to do on the car, and I didn't have the budget for tires, and I needed tires seriously, especially since that first race. And they came through, buddy, and they gave me a nice set of Nokian tires, studded, everything that works, with a new set of mags that are gold and everything. Oh, dude, man, they made my life, buddy. And if it wasn't for them, probably I'd be doing crap right now. And actually, for San Air, they told me they have something special for me, so I can't wait to see that.
Oh, nice. And that's great. It's what I noticed. It's always great when you have a certain amount of charisma and you deliver, and you're a decent driver and you can make it work. Well, the sponsorships come a little bit more easily, even though we're like at the really bottom of the ladder when it comes to sponsorships. But you got to start somewhere. You got to practice.
It's hard for Rally X because there's no media coverage for it.
Exactly.
So they're always they don't really want a sponsorship because they don't. It's not on TV. It's not anywhere except for the podium winners are on Pole Position magazine every once in a while, and that's pretty much it. So
exactly. Yeah.
It's really the love to do it, and you do it for yourself because you're not winning anything. There's no prizes really into it. So it's really for the love of the sport. And tell you the truth, I don't care at all if I don't win anything, as long as I get my little trophy that says, "There you go, buddy, you did good." You didn't crash. Yeah, exactly. It's just, it makes you feel good inside, and you just want to do better next time and keep on going.
Is what I love about rallycross, about rally in general, any type of motorsport, or even riding downhill bikes. It's the whole process of getting better, of working on something, chipping away at progress. If ever you get into stage rally, which I'm trying to get into stage rally right now, it's just so big that the process is fascinating to me. By the time you get there, it's just larger than life, which is always good to have a project like that in life. I don't have kids, so I gotta have something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, that is my plan, tell you the truth, to go in professional rally. But for now, I want to stay in Rally X just to, work up some experience and, get better at it, and then, learn the tricks of the trade, what tweaks I need to do for my car for each different race and all that. And, all that stuff that it takes experience and knowledge and time and people that know it, to teach you. Really, you can't do everything by yourself, so you need help, that's just the way it is,
Well, thank you very much for your time. It was awesome to chat with you, and I can't wait to see you next time at the track. So
same here.
For everybody, Steve, follow Steve on, I don't know what social media. Anyway, you'll be seeing him at the next rally crosses.
Steve Coull, Bertello. As simple as that.
All right. See ya.
Thanks. All right. Thank you. Having fun. Yes. Bye.
Bye.